then they can pay attention afterwards. And there's this nice AI voice recognizing that you are being recorded. So if you feel comfortable being on screen, fine. And if you rather not, you can. You're welcome to turn off your video. It's all good. But welcome everybody. My name is Heidi, and I will be your tour guide for this educational session today. We have some good reflections, some good theory, and some really good insights for practice to show you today. But if you haven't joined us before, this is number 3 educational session out of 4 in total. It's been something that we have been doing over the past year and a half almost. And we are at almost the end. As you can see, when we're at number 3, it's getting close to the end. But today the focus is on the resale market. So this project is called Trace and have been working throughout the past 2 years together with the Royal Academy of Arts, Copenhagen Business School, and the Alexandra Institute on questioning this story about, can we scale the resale market? And if we take a step further down, they have been looking at how can we start identifying the different items that we have, our clothes, our products, the unique items. Can we in some way use technology to identify them? Then they continued on doing some research to see when we identify them, what data should be available, what should we access, what should people that might scan a product, what information do they need, and how can we look towards the standards of data that are already out there. So last fall, the researchers out of CBS spent time on digging deep, I want to say, in these standards and trying to figure out the combination of what data points should we put into these clothes. And now these 2 last educational seminars are kind of stepping beyond the sale. When we are already in the resale market, what do we recognize of trends, mechanisms, value creation happening in the resale market? And hopefully when we get to the end of these educational seminars, you as participants should be able to kind of connect the dots and say, all right, if I want to gain value from the resale market, if I want to get a cut of this piece of cake and this market share, what could I as a brand or a resale platform do in order to already be able to identify the products, have data that links up to the story of this product, the production of this product? Some of this will be within the digital product passport as you know it, but then how can we make business models out of this as well and scale it, and not only make sure that we produce the right products to resell, but we're actually enabling resale to happen more and more and more. So this is our mission, and this is what we're hoping you can gain from participating. And today we will spend the next couple of hours looking at theory and understanding some of the trends out of there. We will have a visit from Sassy Lab and Create to Stay, who are some of those 2 partners that we really encourage brands to look into and maybe try to build up these partnership with if you're not able to do it all by yourself. There's definitely help out there to get. And then we will hear a little bit about user behavior in the resale market and a little bit of a flavor of what is to come for the next seminar as well. But to kick it off, Christiane, welcome. You will take us through the first session.
Yes, thank you very much, Heidi. Just sharing my screen.
Almost there. Presentation mode, and then we're good to go.
All right. I hope it's all set up now.
Yes, all good.
Brilliant. Thank you. So welcome also from my side. I'm very excited and glad to kick off this morning and this session about resale. And in my presentation, I'm going to talk about the power of data and more specifically about potential data partnerships that can be established between established resale platforms and fashion brands, sort of as a first step for fashion brands to put a toe into the resale market and see and learn more what's actually going on there. So a couple of words about me. My name is Christiane Lehr. I'm an associate professor at Copenhagen Business School at the Department of Digitalization. And I have been at CBS nearly 5 years now. And my academic journey started in Munich at the LMU. That's also where I'm from, and where I did my PhD. And then I spent some years in the telco industry, working in the strategy department for Telefonica, before going back into academia and following my passion to study technologies and their impact. And my current research program is related to technology and sustainability. So if you want to put it in a broad question, I'm interested in how we can use technology to help us achieve sustainable development for all. And that's very broad, and obviously I have more specific research interests. And one of the first ones is related to the circular economy. So I'm very much interested in how we can leverage technologies to support the transition from a linear to a circular economy. And as you're probably familiar with, some of the technologies that are relevant here, I'm looking into digital platforms as a business model, but also more specific technologies like AI, blockchain, IoT. A second research question I'm interested in is how technology help us people like you and I to behave more sustainably in our everyday life. So how we can use, for example, mobile technologies that use gamification techniques or nudging techniques to sort of nudge and push us all a little bit more towards sustainable choices in everyday life. But today I'm going to talk about resale and its role in a circular fashion. I would like to start off by highlighting that obviously resale is just one puzzle piece in a whole transition to a circular fashion. So what you can see on this slide is on the left hand, you can see how circular value creation might take place, and on the right hand, how circular value retention might take place. So let's start with the left side, and that is that obviously when we are creating products, we already need to do it in a more intelligent way than we are doing it today. So we need to, on the one hand, use ideally less materials in the first place, and if we use materials, we need to use the right ones. So that is more sort of the environmental part, but also obviously we need to create fashion products and products in general, not just in the fashion industry, but products in general. We need to do it in a more socially sustainable manner. And also think about, for example, regeneration. That is an important part of a circular economy model as well. However, today's focus will be more on the right-hand side, where we need to make sure that once a product is being created, it stays in use for as long as possible. And when we're sort of done with the product, when it's really worn out, and then we have to think, or it's not needed anymore, then we have to think about how we can reuse the materials. So all of these elements are important for circular fashion, but for today's session, we will focus on resale only, and also disregard other forms of extending the product life cycle, like sharing, swapping, rental. All of these models and approaches are definitely valid, but not in the focus today. So often these days, we think about resale as something completely new, as there's so much talk around this. But actually, fashion resale or sharing has been around for a long time, for probably hundreds of years, if not, in the last decades, for sure, where we have offline markets where clothes are being exchanged. So in more formal settings like thrift and charity shops, vintage boutiques, which are very popular, especially in Copenhagen, but also obviously in informal settings where we have flea markets, but we also have clothes swapping parties. That's a more recent phenomenon. But where the current or increasing interest in fashion resale is coming from is the potential of online markets and digital platforms. So on the one hand, we have things like Facebook Marketplace, which is still very much peer-to-peer, and people get in touch with each other and then exchange their clothes. But what we have seen in the last decade, so for the last 15 years, is specialized resale platforms that are particularly focused on fashion resale. And more recently, also brands are entering this market by brand-owned re-commerce platforms. So this is one example from one where by Patagonia, which started around 10 years ago. And this is where I guess there is a wake up in the fashion industry to see, oh, something is happening. We see a lot of new players in the market, and this is something we should pay attention to. So if we want to cluster the digital platforms that enable fashion resale, then we can do it in the following way. So we have the non-specialized resale platforms like eBay, which all of us know, but we can even count DBA and Facebook Marketplace and so on to this. And they have been around for around 30 years, these platforms. So for example, eBay is something still from the 90s. They're still around and they're still going big. But as I mentioned before, what has been increasing in the last 15 years is these specialized fashion resale platforms. They were established around 2010 and have been growing ever since. And more platforms are entering the market. What is quite interesting also, more curated models where the platform not only offers a peer-to-peer platform, but really takes steps to make sure that the products are being authentic. So it's really the brand that is being sold, or they do quality assurance, that they are on the rise as well and getting quite a lot of funding and growing quite big international. So examples are Vestiaire, but also the Real. What's also interesting about this market that we are already starting to see some concentration. So for example, recently Vinted bought Trend Sales. So it's to be seen what's going on here in the future. And for the last 10 years or so, brands have started their own resale, re-commerce platforms. Like I mentioned before, around 10 years ago, Patagonia started with OneWear, and many other brands have followed. Also, fairly recently, even fast fashion brands have become interested in re-commerce. So also they recognize that something is going on and don't want to miss the party, and have started, for example, H&M, Rewear, and Zara and Shein. They have launched their own platforms. So all in all, we can surely say, and that's consistent across the studies that we see, market studies, that the fashion resale market is growing, and it's growing fairly fast, particularly fueled by these online platforms. So the following, or this chart is taken from the ThredUp resale report from 2010. So the current numbers are predictions that they made from 21. But they predicted that in 23, in the year 23, there is already an equal share between the traditional thrift and donation, which you can see in the blue, and the online fashion resale, which you can see as a green. And for the years to come, they predicted that the online fashion resale will outperform and outgrow the traditional thrift and charity shops. Also, what is quite consistent across the market studies that are out there, there are not that many, but those that I could find, is that the fashion resale is growing faster than the traditional resale. So sort of, the first-hand fashion sales. So this is a market segment that is growing fairly fast. Of course, compared to the overall fashion market, it's still niche, but it's definitely something to pay attention to. So the top categories are definitely clothing. On the second place, we can see accessories, and to a lesser extent, footwear is being exchanged. The major countries are actually Asia, particularly China, due to its size, but also India. But also the US is quite big, in Europe, where we have countries like Denmark, Germany, UK, that have a quite lively resale market. And according to a study from Global Data, in 2023, China has surpassed the US as the largest resale market. And that is quite interesting, as it might be counterintuitive for some of us. And I would like to already provide a cliffhanger for the later part of the session, where we will get some insights into consumer motivations and consumer behavior. And also some of the findings from China will be presented to get a better understanding of sort of what are the drivers for people engaging in secondhand, but also maybe some barriers. So now, if you are a fashion brand and you would like to enter the resale market, there are different ways of doing it. So a first way is to sort of go all in and launch your own branded buyback and resale platform, like Patagonia has done, like Eileen Fisher has done, and many others. So an advantage of that is that you can target new customers, and that maybe with your first-hand sales you cannot get, because it is particularly young people that are engaging in fashion resale. And this is a way you could get them familiar with your brand. But also you could increase loyalty with your existing customers, because they can see a way of reselling their own clothes that they had bought before from the first market, and then maybe even become first and second-hand buyers. When you control the resale platform, obviously you have control over the customer experience, so the branding, the product, the price that are being set, the image, and also you can get access to the customer and product data. Another advantage could be that, especially for customers who are a little bit maybe worried about buying from a peer-to-peer platform, you can provide them a trustworthy purchase options. However, there are also some downsides. So if you want to launch a platform yourself, certainly in the beginning, you will have limited reach. And it's also quite difficult to build a platform business model. It's actually one of the most difficult business models to scale, as you have to make sure that you get both the necessary supply on the platform, but also match it with the according demand. So good matches are happening, and you actually create a vital and lively platform. So it's not really easy to do that. Moreover, if you do reverse logistics in-house, it requires quite a lot of resources and knowledge on how to do that. You also could run the risk of buying dead inventory. So if, as a brand, you may not want to go sort of all in, a second option could be to engage in a sales partnership with existing resale platforms. And in a second, I we'll also show you some different options for how to do that based on examples that we've seen in the past years. Again, like with the brand-owned model, you can also target new customers and increase customer loyalty, but you can at the same time build on the awareness and traffic of the established platform. So they have a running business model, they have the demand and the supply in place in sufficient numbers that you can tap into. Moreover, you can tap into their established expertise when it comes to resale logistics. And at the same time, you can provide a trustworthy purchase experience, because if you partner up with an established resale platform and you're an established and trusted brand yourself, these partnerships should cross-fertilize each other. There could, however, be some limits on your control over the products that are being sold or the prices that are being set, and there might be some limits to the data you can access, but this is a matter of contractual agreements. The last and third option is a data partnership that you could establish with an existing platform, sort of as a first step, as an easy first step to enter the resale market. So if a fashion brand is not sure that this is for them, or they want to just tip a toe into the waters and learn about the market and what's going on, then a data partnership could be a viable model, because you get access to the data of how your products are performing in the resale market. You can learn a lot. And that can already provide some valuable insights for product design, for pricing, for communication. So overall, these three models are viable. In the following, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the second option, and then a bit more about the third option, as this is the focus of this session. So as promised, some of the examples of partnerships between existing resale platforms and fashion brands that have been around in the last years. So there have been some examples where fashion brands have created exclusive collections for resale platforms. So for example, upcycled or vintage collections, which allow the brand to demonstrate their commitment to sustainability, but also access new customer groups. So for example, younger audiences that are interested in secondhand. For the platform, the benefit could be that they attract users through an attractive brand and also get access to exclusive or rare collections. And on the right-hand side, you can see some examples of these collaboration partners. The second option is that you could promote resale and drive sales. So there have also been many examples of that, where brands encourage their customers to resell items via a platform. And in return, they give them financial incentives. So they give them store credit, loyalty points, or an experiential reward. So for example, an exclusive visit to a particular flagship store and get a special treatment. So for the brand, this is a way to promote more responsible fashion, but also retain customers by offering these store credits, but also driving first-hand sale. Yet I would like to mention that we can question whether this is a very environmentally sustainable way of doing it. So basically using the resale market as a catalyst for first-hand sale, which is actually not in line and not the idea of circularity. Nonetheless, we have seen many examples of brands doing it. And then for the platform, again, they can attract customers by partnering up with a well-known brand and source items with the help of a brand. The third option is that a brand can integrate the platform into their website and promote resale. So here they can educate the customers about the positive impact of resale. And for the platform, the advantage is, again, they can sort of create more visibility and also have some branding spillover effects if it's an attractive brand. And last but not least, we have seen the entrance of born digital fashion resale platforms into brick and mortar. For example, as Vestiaire has a presence in Selfridges, so in a luxury department store, and again, making the platform, the purely digital platform, more attractive for maybe more offline-oriented consumers. What I would like to deep dive into now is the third options. So if a platform would like, or if a fashion brand would like to learn more about the resale market and its mechanisms and how it works. So this could be done in the form of a data partnership. So if you're a brand, you might wonder what data is actually available on such a fashion resale platform. And if you do a rough categorization, I would say that on the one hand, you can get data and insights about the resale customers. So who are the users? Who is on these platforms? So what are their characteristics, for example, in terms of age, gender, local distribution, but also what is their purchase behavior? What are they buying? What are they searching for? And thereby derive some of their preferences. When you look at product data, which is sort of the broad second category, you can learn about the performance of your brand on the resale market, and also in comparison to other brands, as many of these fashion resale platforms have multiple brands. So you can get insights into the resale price of your products, but also fluctuations, for example, across time or seasonality. How does that play into the price people are willing to pay? But also, what are particularly popular fashion items in terms of the actual item? Is there something that stands out in terms of the sort of item category, the sizes, the colors, the styles? And also the condition. How long do my products actually stay in a good condition? And what is sort of the condition that helps them to be resold? But also, if you look at this data from platforms that have been around for 10 years and longer, you obviously can see developments over time. And it's quite interesting to match this data with a brand's own internal data to see, if certain products were being produced, how did they then perform in the resale? So what can brands do with that? So the obvious thing is that such information and insights can inform their product design. So it could help them to produce items that actually perform well in the resale market. So they are potentially more durable, but they are also repairable, or they're actually, and that is quite important, in long-term demand. So rather than producing popular and short-lived models, you could use these insights for strategic product design. It could also inspire new product lines or inspire the launch of exclusive collections, like going more into vintage pieces where you know that this is something, or you at least can predict that this is something that will be in demand. A second option where such insights could be valuable is in communication and brand positioning. So a brand could even highlight how their products sustain their value over time after the initial purchase. Or they could do joint marketing campaigns with the platform to show and to emphasize the environmental impact of resale. And last but not least, it could inform pricing. So if you know how the value of an item develops over time, there are ways of thinking about how this influences prices of the initial first-hand sale. What I would like to do now is to give you some exemplary insights of potential analysis that could come out of these, out of the data from the resale platforms. And this is data that is based on Reshopper, the resale platform that's focused on kids' clothes here in Denmark, and particularly data on what you can see here: Kongens Sløjd, muesli, name it, and wheat. And this is more to show you or to give you a better idea of what insights could be there. And it's only exemplary data, so it's not a comprehensive overview of all the insights that could come out of it, but sort of to give you a feel for the analysis that could be done. So if you wonder how high the demand is of your brand in the resale market, and also potentially compared to other brands, you can see it here in the first graph that shows over time, based on index numbers, how the demand is changing. And here we can clearly see that the sales volumes go up just before winter, but also before summer. But you could also wonder, what is the average price for my brand's items on the resale market? And this is what is shown in the other graph here as an example, where you can see again over time the price per brand, and again you can see seasonal trends due to higher demand, in this case for higher priced items. This is kids' clothes, so here we see price increase before winter because due to the higher price of snowsuits. And some other examples of analysis that could come out of a data partnership is this one. So you might wonder, how intensely is my brand searched for and resold on the resale market? So you could look into what you can see here, the sort of greenish on the left slide, on the left graph, the greenish columns here. You can see how much is it searched. And then in comparison, what you can see in blue is it actually sold? And here you can calculate some conversion rates, and you can see is sort of the demand, which is represented by the search, in line with the supply. So can all the demand that is there be met by the supply on the platform, or is there some room for improvement? And on the right-hand side, you can see an analysis to the question of what is the demand and revenue for certain categories in the resale market? Is my brand performing particularly well on some categories? So which categories actually have some long-term value and retain them? So here you can see some top categories of items sold and the categories generating the most revenue. So just to mention again, this is just to give you an idea about potential analysis. You can come up with many more questions and crunch the data in certain ways. But this could be quite valuable for brands to learn more about how the items are performing after initial sale. So in order to conclude, the key takeaways I would like to provide to you is that there are various ways for fashion brands to enter the growing resale market. And you can, based on your taste for resale, differentiate between different levels of commitment and use of resources. But if we look at data partnerships, this can be a fairly easy first step into the resale market. And these data partnerships can then provide fashion brands with insights into the value of their products on the resale market, which can potentially inform product design, pricing, and communication if these insights are being taken in and communicated internally within the company. So with that, I would like to thank you, and I look forward to your questions and comments.
Thank you so much, Christiane. Perfect on time and great insights to get started on. We are open for questions in the chat or after our breakout room in a minute, but I would eager and applaud you for a great presentation, Christiane, but jump fast over to Cecilep, because this is a great combination of really understanding what does the theory share with us, what learnings do we have from that space, and then jump into how do we do it in the real world? What is happening out there? And Thomas, you are already working on your slides. Good job. But I want to welcome everybody. Thomas, who is the co-founder, together with Stine, who I see was also present in the virtual room. They founded Cecilep, who is a platform that works with resale today. And one of the things that I've been really fond of with Cecilep is that they're really eager to make it a painless journey for users. One of the barriers we see for resale and scaling resale is definitely that when people have clothes in their houses, it's just a hassle to get rid of. So when I met Thomas and Stine the first time, this was at least one of their pitches in order to make it a better and more profitable market for business owners also to go into. But Thomas, do you want to say hi and good morning?
I definitely do. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thanks, Heidi, for the introduction and for the opportunity to be here today. And Heidi, you actually almost did the full pitch of Cecilep, so that was great. Thank you so much for that. And basically, what we're trying to do with Cecilep is figuring out a way where we can use technology to be more effective in taking clothes from being outside of our inventory to the point where it's being online for resale. And I'll be happy to share some of the many insights that Stine and I have been discovering during the years since 2020 when we founded Cecilep and until now, which is quite a few. We don't have a background in fashion, neither of us. We have a background in technology, and we have been and are quite passionate about figuring out how can we use technology to make resale a profitable business. So you probably already know these numbers, but a lot of fashion items are thrown out every year. Actually, in Denmark, it's as much as 80 kilos every minute, and that's quite a lot. And obviously, we don't get our clothing from landfills like you see on that picture. That would probably not be something our customers was very interested in. But we try to avoid the clothes end up on the landfills, and that's what we have built. We are on a mission to try to revolutionize how resale works today in the fashion industry, and we do that with technology. So far, we have resold 25,000 items, and we're just getting started. So what we have concentrated a lot on during the first couple of years have been to to build that technology and that setup that allows us to take huge quantities of fashion through the system. What we discovered very fast when we started up the SASE lab was that processing and handle all of these used fashion items for resale, that's very consuming, time consuming, and therefore very costly. So in the beginning, we had a lot of manual handling with all the items, and at the point where we onboarded the first 1,000 items, we were like, yeah, this is going very well. Unfortunately, the outcome was that it was not profitable at all. So we started looking into how can we use automation technology, AI technology, still at a very low level, you can say. How can we use these technologies to make this more profitable? We have implemented automation technology to generate product text, for example, based on the product data that we enter into the system. We have implemented AI technology for processing our images. We take images, and I'll come back to that. We take images of all the items that we onboard to the platform. And implementing these automation and AI technologies allow us today to only spend approximately 3 minutes per item that we onboard, and that number will go further down in the future. We have in the pipeline different technology projects that we want to implement. Some of them are not really technology mature enough. And some of them doesn't make sense to implement at the level where we are now, but would make a lot of sense when we scale up further. So just to give you some insights on how are we actually running a resale platform today. I want to start maybe because I'm not sure that it was 100% clear in the beginning, but a resale platform in the terms of SASE Lab at least is not a peer-to-peer platform like Trendsales, like Ties or Vinted and so on. A resale platform like SASE Lab is a platform where we have the inventory on stock at our storage facilities. We handle all the items, and we quality check all the items, and we are also taking care of the sales process, and I'll dive deeper into that. So today we source inventory from different places. We source inventory from private sellers. Heidi did a short introduction to our initial pain or idea of an initial pain when we started SASE Lab, that we could see that private individuals all around the country and all around the world actually have a lot of clothing in their wardrobes that they don't use, and we made a concept where we asked these private people to clean out their closets and send those items into us. We would resell them on a commission-based agreement. So that's one thing that we do. We also get stock from brands that could be, and I'll come back to some more details on that later. That could be dead stock, it could be returns, it could be claims, and so on and so forth. We receive a lot of donations as well from people who don't want to sell it. They just want to give it to us because they think that what we're doing is a great thing, and we obviously accept all of those as well. And lastly, we do get items from sorting facilities as well. In a time where all the municipalities in Denmark are collecting textile waste, we are working together with these facilities, because what they discover is that a large amount of the waste that they receive from the municipalities are actually not waste. It's perfectly fine fashion items, and we can handle reselling those. So this is an area that is increasing for us. It's an area that is extremely important for the sorting facilities as well as the municipalities, because they cannot accept all the perfectly fine fashion items being shredded, for example. So they are obliged to do this manual sorting at their facility to make sure that that items that are in a good resellable state will actually be resold, and we're helping them with that. So when we receive everything, no matter where it comes from, we do a quality check. So we make sure, of course, that there's no holes and everything looks fine, that the item doesn't smell strange and doesn't miss a button or whatever that could be. And all items that are approved in that quality check will be onboarded. And the onboarding is a photo, of course, of the item. It is a lot of data on each item that are today manually added to our database, but at a later stage, that's one of the automation and AI projects that we have. But right now, we store this data manually. We have a lot of great student workers working with us every afternoon, typing in brands, sizes. There could be data about the material and the product type, and so on and so forth. Everything is added to the database. The products are tagged with tags that make sense for that particular product. Is it warm? Is it for the summer? Is it a soft material, and so on and so forth. We use then all that data to automatically generate a product description. And this is one of the areas that have been important for us to let our end customers have a feeling that is similar to when you buy a new item. So even though there's only one of each, you should still feel that you don't get into a web shop where it just says green shirt. It needs to have some more details about each item. So we do quite a big effort to write a text that is meaningful for the consumer when he or she visits the website. And in addition to that, this is a really important part of our strategy to rank high on search engines, obviously. Everything is listed online on our own platform, saslab.dk, but we know that we have not built a strong and big resale brand similar to DBA or Trend Sales or similar bigger platforms. So we also list all items at partner platforms, and today it's DBA and it's Tradera in Sweden and in Denmark, and it's a very it's a very important strategy for us to use the existing platforms, because right now that is where a large amount of the customers are already shopping. So it's important for us to be there. So it's automatically everything is being pushed out to our listing partners, and we are putting new listing partners on as we speak, because we want the items to be pushed out as fast as possible, obviously. And that goes to the last part, because we do handle, of course, all the storage of all the items, the fulfillment and everything, and therefore it's important for us to have each item on storage in a short period as possible at all, and to make it as profitable as possible. Just to give you a short view on what I mean when I say our own sales channel, we have a website, we have an app for iPhone and Android as well, and these two opportunities allows the users to shop as easy as easy as and effective as possible, and on their preferred platform, basically. So they can use an app if they are on their smartphone. They can use the website if they are there. They can use selling partners if that is if that is what they prefer. And all the orders ends up the same place, and we handle them in the same way, no matter where they come from. And it's important for us that when you as a consumer receive the package from us, it's an experience similar to when you receive a package from one of the big multi-brand fashion stores online. So even though we might use a reused packaging material in order to have a better, more sustainable packaging, it looks nice. So it's nicely packed together. We even do send a video out to all the new customers to greet them, welcome to SassiLab, and we show them what item that they have bought. And they get that full attention from us, similar to what they are used to when they shop new stuff. So that it's not an experience that is significantly different, because that's one of the learnings we have seen, that the consumers, they might, if you ask them, want to buy more sustainable, but they want the same experience. So they also want to be able to return the items. That's why we have a 30-day return policy. They want to be able to get the item fast. So we send out every day, and normally receive the day after you have bought the item. They want the same level of customer service, so they can call us, and they can mail us and chat with us. And all of these things needs to be similar, because otherwise they will default to buy new. Then there is an issue, a whole separate issue to talk about in regards to pricing, because right now the consumers also want a much lower price. I think that will change moving forward, but we'll see about that in the coming years, and we follow that obviously very, very closely. So our target customers, when we founded SassiLab, we were sure that we would be targeting the Gen Z audience, and we have learned something during the years, because right now our primary target customers are women in the age of 30 to 55. They have a huge buying power compared to Gen Z, and they have they don't have the same when they shop peer to peer. They don't have the same kind of trust to the sellers that they buy from. So they really love being able to buy from a platform like SassiLab, where they have that trust included. Of course, we utilize all the customer data and all the insights to continuously understand the target group that we are working with, to be able to focus on the inventory that we can see drives the sales. And it does change during the years. In the beginning, an example is that in the beginning it was all women, and then around 1.5 years ago, we could see that men suddenly tried to be interested in buying from us. Some men bought dresses, and that's perfectly fine. We don't judge, but we also saw an increasing demand for menswear, and that is a part that I find extremely interesting. And we use the data that we have on what our male customers are buying, to make sure that we can increase inventory on these areas. Today we still have 80-20 in terms of our inventory and also customers. So 80% of our inventory and customers are women, but it have increased quite dramatically on the men's side, from being almost 0 to being around 20% now, which is a great development from my point of view. And now I don't
Thomas,
know if I
I
go out
actually,
of timing.
Thomas, I would really love for you, if we give it a couple of more minutes, I want to make sure that we get the final conclusions, because this is really good insights and learnings for brands to really understand what kind of mechanisms does it take, and very many of the processes are just if you were handling a new item, right? But
Exactly.
please continue a few more minutes, and then we need to round it up.
Exactly. So, and I'll make sure to do that with this final slide, because exactly as you mentioned, Heidi, we do have a lot of insights into these things, and what I have presented to you guys today is a part of that. And we do work with fashion brands. We do work on different levels. We do work on a data level, and that doesn't need to be more agreed upon than that you can just give us a call and have a talk over a cup of coffee, and we'll be happy to share our insights. And if we should go into a more deep data cooperation, we can figure out an agreement on that. But we also work more officially with brands. We do different types of integrations. We do a very simple integration where we just receive some boxes from a brand, and we put those items up for sale. That could be take backs, that could be returns, claims, and so on and so forth. So they send them from time to time, and we put them online, and we have agreed on a price on some pricing on that part. But it can also be a more deep API-based integration where we do the same in regards to the logistics on the items, but we offer data to go the other way. We also have the integrations where we can sell the items on our multi-brand store and on the brand's brand-owned platform as well, but where we still handle all the logistics. And in terms of data, just to wrap things up here, we have a lot of data available on the items that we have sold about, and also what we have in stock about the types and the sizes and the styles, what pricing can we sell the items to, what categories have the highest resale price, what items are selling the fastest, who are buying those items, how long time are they in stock, and so on and so forth. So with that, I will wrap up the presentation, and thanks so much for the opportunity, and reach out. I'll make sure that Heidi will share our contact details. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. Excellent insights and deep dive in a platform. That's always good to give some concrete examples. And I absolutely love the campaign you're running right now, where you partner up with brands that specifically have physical stores, and the brands can offer their customers to come to the physical store, dump their clothes, get rid of, clean out the closet, and then you support the brand in actually mobilizing all these items and giving them a second life. So big applause for your work, and keep on going.
We
All
will.
right.
Thank you, Heidi. Thanks.
Yes. So now you've, listened carefully for about an hour time, and I really want to give everybody 10, 15 minutes to really meet each other and just kind of bounce a few ideas. So I'm going to throw everybody into a breakout room. Please say hi to the people you meet, and then shoot an idea or a reflection on what did you hear this morning? Is there something new, or is it, I've heard this before, I'm still skeptical, or is this, all right, these are some ideas that I could work with, and I'm curious to do more. So say hi to everybody in the breakout room, and I'll ring you back 20 minutes past 11. Thank you. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us back. And as you see, we're already prepping for the next pitch. I just want to throw out a question in the chat because as this is a research project out of the Innovation Fund of Trace, we are still curious right now in these research that we're working on right now, what data are we actually looking for? And Christiane gave you a first hint on some of the data that we could do an analysis on and see if there's a combination. Thomas from Ceci Lab pinpointed some data that they were willing to share and really do collabs on to benefit both brands and the resale situation. But this is still a question, and Teresa and Reka have been working on some of this data for the past month, and I think we're really questioning what data is needed. What kind of questions are you as a brand or consultant or somebody who's working in the resale, what questions are you putting out there to understand how this market can operate and function better and more profitable? But of course, we can't go anywhere without looking at the users. Who's actually using these products out there? Who's using these platforms? And Teresa and Reka are some of the graduates soon out of Copenhagen Business School. So if you're sitting there listening and you need somebody who's really competent within this field, I would run into LinkedIn and connect with Teresa or Reka. And I also see Jakob and Nikolai have joined us from CBS, and we have a lot of great students working with the project right now. So if you need a little extra support or are curious for new young minds to look into your business, I would reach out to our project and connect with some of these bright minds. But we're so fortunate that Reka and Teresa are joining us today and sharing, I want to say, the initial findings from your research, because you're just in the middle of your master thesis, which is due here in May. So initial findings, and maybe we will get the last findings when you get to the results. But welcome, Teresa and Reka. Please share what you've concluded so far.
Yes, so hi everyone, and thank you, Heidi, for the introduction. Reka and with my partner Teresa, we are doing our master's thesis in collaboration with Christiane, and today we would like to present to you the outcomes of our systematic literature review on consumer behavior in secondhand fashion shopping. So first of all, our systematic literature review, we started with selecting the relevant search term. So we used consumer and reselling, secondhand, or circular economy, also with terms like clothing, fashion, or textile to cover the whole research area that we are focusing on. And this initially yielded more than 800 papers, which then we filtered out the duplicates and also ensured that only high quality journals were included. And then we applied some eligibility criteria so that all the papers are focusing on consumer trends in reselling clothes. And this resulted in 18 papers at the end that fully met all of our criteria. So when we look at these 18 papers in more detail, we can see, for example, that they cover various channels, like 1/3 of it focusing on online reselling platforms, another third on offline settings, and the rest is concentrating on reselling in general. When we look at timing, the articles, half of it is from recent years, from 2020 to 2023. And there are also some from earlier years, like 2013 to 2019. Methodologically, most of the research is based on online surveys, and fewer studies are focusing on qualitative in-depth interviews. When we look at hypothesis testing, they are mostly derived from general literature reviews, but some of them use theoretical frameworks, for example, psychological ones focusing on narrative competence theory. Geographically, the research papers mostly focus on North America, Australia, New Zealand, and also some European and Asian countries. Interestingly, US, the UK, and China, they appear multiple times in the papers. And finally, the participant demographics, most of the studies focus on females and mostly from younger generations, so females aged between 18 to 35 years. Also, we have identified from these papers 6 key motivators for secondhand shopping, such as economic benefit, fashionability, climate awareness, social belongingness, hedonic benefit, and uniqueness. And the thickness of the boxes shows the frequency of these concepts appearing in our papers. So first of all, economic benefits emerged as a key motivator for purchasing secondhand. For example, comparing American and Chinese consumer in traditional resale context, Americans have a higher economic value attributed to secondhand clothing, and this could be probably because in China there is a higher availability of new clothes at lower prices. When we look at fashionability, it also represents buying luxury clothes secondhand, and this was mainly connected to general secondhand clothes. And for example, in New Zealand, participants enhanced their fashion sub-concept by buying secondhand designer clothes. And also in Canada, people with higher fashion indices are more likely to resell garments. Climate awareness is also a significant motivator for secondhand clothing consumption. And for example, in China, environmental benefits are one of the fastest emerging drivers for involvement in the fashion resale market. And interestingly, in Malaysia, sustainability motivations outweigh economic ones. Social belongingness also emerges as a significant motivator. For example, in China, it drives engagement in online fashion resale. And this can be due to the collective nature of the Chinese culture. And also in the US, it offers a sense of belongingness to a community and social acceptance. Hedonic benefits also associated with the thrill of treasure hunting and finding exclusive items. They also influence secondhand purchases. And for example, in the US, they increase the favorability toward online secondhand shopping. And finally, uniqueness was observed mostly in thrift shop settings, and this means to find exclusive item and the desire of standing out. And for instance, in New Zealand, China, and the UK, people prioritize uniqueness when shopping secondhand clothes using thrift stores to express individuality.
Yes, and hello also from my side. I'm Teresa, working with Rika together. And I want to lead you now to factors which increase the consumer engagement in secondhand shop. And the 3 main factors we found were the channel type, the level of the product details, and past shopping experience. And starting with the channel type, we can differentiate between online and offline channels. And advantages which were found for online was that it's more time saving than offline secondhand shopping. And also that it's easier access to a wider range of products, so you can look easier for a specific brand or specific item. And then a last advantage, which was mentioned from sellers, was that you could make easier more profit on online because it's more options for C2C. However, also offline had an advantage, which was that you don't have that many trust issues when you look on online platforms for quality or seller or something. And then inside the online channel, we can also differentiate again between B2C and C2C. And what studies showed was that in B2C, they have higher trust in the platform and also less concerns about hygienic and quality. When we look at the level of product details, it was found that it was a reason why people would not shop secondhand online, that maybe the size was not given or that not enough details were provided. And there was also a study which compared items which had product history and which didn't have, and there was much more engagement when product details were provided. An example would be just a picture of the item, or also like the duration since when the product is alive. And then if we come to the last factor, which is past shopping experience, we could see that depending on last experience, people would more likely or less likely engage again in secondhand. And also that if they shopped online before, not secondhand, but on other platforms, that they are also more likely to engage in secondhand online shopping because they already have the technology knowledge. And last, it was also seen that if people were engaged in clothing swapping or something before, they would also more likely engage in secondhand after. And now on the next slide, we see the main 4 barriers why people would not buy secondhand clothes. And there we have the hygienic concerns, quality concerns, social risk, and trust in the service. And starting with the hygienic concerns, it's the biggest issue why people wouldn't buy secondhand clothes. And it's seen more in C2C than in B2C because people do not trust enough in the service of C2C. And also a culture difference was seen here that in Korea it was bigger than in US. And then if we come to the quality concern, it was mostly in online studies and not offline. And overall, it influenced the purchase decision if they had quality concerns. And actually, consumers take the brand of the item as a quality criteria. And for social risk, what we mean here is that people have the fear of looking poor if others know they would buy secondhand. And this we could see especially in China, which comes from the history in China that you would have a lower status if you could not afford a new item back in the days, and some people still have that in mind. And for the trust in the service, what we could see that it's more online than offline, definitely, and also more C2C than B2C, and that in general, the trust influences the purchase decision in the end. And now we draw some conclusions where we try to come up with some strategies how to accelerate growth in the resale market. And there we did differentiate between promoting fashion resale and implementing fashion resale. And for promoting fashion resale, we came up, for example, with emphasizing the price value ratio as we saw as a motivator that you get fashion products for affordable prices. Then also educating buyers and sellers about the environmental benefits of shopping resale as the motivator climate awareness was seen. And then challenge misconceptions surrounding secondhand clothing to fight against the social risk that they don't need to be afraid that others think they look poor. And then create a sense of community and belongingness to get along with the social belongingness we have seen as a motivator. And also, as we saw, as motivators, uniqueness and fashionability, emphasize unique and fashionable pieces. And last but not least, ensure consumers of the cleanliness and quality of products to make sure that they know actually it's high quality and hygienic. And then if we look more at the technical side, what to implement in fashion resale to growth could be a user-friendly interface. So there are no technical issues or anything. It's easy to find unique items. Then also provide comprehensive product details, as we have seen it, that people would engage more and buy more if they have more product details. Implement loyalty programs so people will return and come back to the platform. Offer return possibilities so they have more trust in the service and have the same possibilities of if they would buy a new item. And also establish an authentication process to make sure it's the real brand and not anything fake, and it's high quality standard. And with these ideas, we would like to thank you for listening and look forward to your questions.
Thank you so much. I think this was a speedy presentation with extremely valuable points. So I deeply appreciate your time, Teresa and Reke, to kind of share your initial findings. I really hope that we will be able to share more of these findings when you get closer to your thesis and handing that in. But thank you so much, and a big applause for your presentation. Thank you. Thomas, we are getting close to the end, and I feel like we've done this build-up. Everybody is a big fan of resale now. Everybody wants to do it. Thomas, how are they going to do it, right? I want to introduce you to Create to Stay, who's going to be the final presentation today. And Teresa, it was almost like you and Reke had timed it, because we have visited with Sassy Lab, who is promoting resale, and now we will visit with Create to Stay, who is supporting the brands on implementing resale. So very nice handover. Thomas, are you able to share your slides?
Thank you very much for the introduction, Heidi. So there have been a lot of good information today. So I will try to shorten my presentation if I can, and then I will show you some real life examples, so you have an insight into what are they actually doing, so you can see what's happening in the industry. So let me get started. We have until 12 o'clock. Is that correct, Heidi?
Yes, and we
Okay,
see your
I'll do it
slides,
fast.
so you're good
Okay.
to go.
Okay, so who we are a technology and logistics company working in the lifestyle industry. Primarily, we started with fashion brands, but it's moving fast now into other sectors, especially into furniture, jewelry, and design, which is ramping fast up on resale too. So we all know resale is growing very, very fast. And yesterday there was an article in the newspapers that 10% of all fashion sales right now in Denmark is secondhand. And that's pretty interesting because most of that is happening outside the brand's universe. So it's happening on different platforms, etc. So there is a trend moving to resale. And what we're doing is that we're helping brands and retailers establishing a resale and repair business within the existing brand universe, so they can take share of that market and build it in as part of their business model. So we are purely technology integrating deeply into a lot of system to make this simple and profitable for brands and retailers to get started. So a little bit about what's happening on our results. And we are announcing results every 6 months for an average of all brands coming in. So we have a lot of data points, which is interesting. So what we see right now is that for those who's buying secondhand items in a branded resale universe, 59% is first-time customers. And that's interesting because this is really important for the brands to attract new customers who is normally buying on the marketplaces and attract them into the brand universe. So they are attracting new customers, new volumes, and new revenue. Within a few months, 79% of all inventory is sold. The demand for secondhand is much higher than the supply. So sell-through rates is very high. We also see some interesting on the pricing points, and it was interesting with the data points too coming from Reshopper, and say what should the price be on secondhand, because we need to admit that it is all about pricing for the consumers. And what we see is that 60% of the recommended retail price is the average which have been sold for, and it's of course different from brand to brand. Some brands can have a lower discount, but average is 60%, which is sold over the last 6 months. Then we have a very interesting figure here. We all say fast fashion is a big issue, and now all the Chinese suppliers is coming in. But before that, we have said that this is an issue with H&M, Zara, and Bestseller and DK Company brands, which is in the lower price range. But they are not the most guilty persons in ensuring that people is using their items for a short lifetime. It's actually interesting to see that the more premium items are, the shorter lifetime they have. So the lower cost items actually have a longer lifetime in consumers' wardrobe than the higher priced items. So this is people who have most money, who is buying more expensive, who is using their items less than those who is actually buying the lower priced brands. And that's clearly from our figures. But in average, a consumer have an item in 417 days from their buying it online to their selling it back to the brand. But it's much lower for the higher priced items, and much higher for the lower priced items. So when we're going into branded resale, a consumer also needs to have a reward for their items. And And the reward can be anything of monetary value. We'll come into that a little bit later. But what we see is that consumers who's getting a reward on a gift card is spending 2.21, a factor of 2.21 more on the value of the gift card when they're buying more items into the shop. And this actually demonstrates that this year is a good case, because brands and retailers are attracting a lot of new customers into their brand universe. Plus, they are ensuring that the consumers is more loyal, because it's so easy. And I agree fully with all the things we have heard today, that consumers, they want to have quality, they would like to be able to return, and they would like to make it easy to sell. And most brands who is doing branded resale is doing the take-back model, means that a customer will get immediately value for an item. So a brand could offer, and a customer has bought an item for 1,000 Danish kroner, they could offer to buy it back for 300 Danish kroner, and the customer will get 300 Danish kroner immediately. They should not wait and negotiate on a marketplace, etc. And that's, if they're giving a gift card, the customers will stay in the brand universe. So the lifetime value of a customer is also getting significantly increased for brands and retailers. Then there is something here which is also important, especially also for the students here and researchers, which I also stated last week at another event. I think it's important when you are communicating, when you are discussing things and coming in and want to have the brand and retailers to be supportive on projects, plans, changes for the future, because we all know that we need to save the world. But and this is the end goal. We need to have that constantly in our head. But if we are just saying that, brands, they're not doing good and they're bad and they don't want to save the world, and it's all about consumption, and it's all about reducing consumption, then you're not getting them with you. And because they are here to make money and it needs to be profitable. It's all about what's in it for the brands to be profitable when models, etc. are discussed. So just keep that in mind. Always do something and find new ways of something which can be profitable so they can earn money or else there will be no attention. And it's extremely important too, because all research and all customer we are doing with brands, etc. And we did one recently too, with hundreds of consumers. This is all about money too for the consumers. The consumers would like to save the world, yes, but mostly why they are buying secondhand and selling secondhand is about money. So money, 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 and what's in it for me, both when talking to brands and retailers and for the consumer. That's really, really important, especially right now when we have the time we have for the financial markets. Okay, however, the really, really good thing here, and this is statistics, that we can now see that we are actually getting sign of production can be reduced, and we are now on our brand partners online sales. Are we now at 2% of the orders, and that's increasing, but 2% of the total orders is actually secondhand. And that research where researchers are saying that it's just increasing production and increasing usage of items, we don't believe in that, and we actually believe it's not true at all. We can see sign right now very clearly that we are actually reducing production because secondhand is substituting the selling of new items. So this is really, really good for the environment. Okay, how to get started if you are a brand or retailer and you want to get started with getting into resale. Just need to see 15 minutes. Then you need to find out what resale business model there is. There's two dominant business models right now. There is a model for take back and there's a model for peer-to-peer. And there's a lot of hybrid models, and new models is constantly being tested. And definitely, we have not seen the last model being made. There will be a lot of innovation here. And I'll come back to those two models, take back and peer-to-peer. And then a brand need to take a decision. Should this be integrated in their existing brand universe, or should it be separate from the brand universe? So this is an important task. When we are seeing maybe 15 years ago, and we started online, and we were discussing, should we have an online business? Then said, yes, we should have an online business. And we did not have an e-commerce manager at all. That was also pretty new, and that was some doing that part-time. But then there came a big decision. Should we, what about online? Is that taking the business from our wholesale business, all our retailers who is buying from us? And should we do that? And should that be different? Should we have two different P&Ls, and how should we do the business? Today, we have what we all know as omnichannel. It's fully integrated. Consumers and business expect a fully integrated business between all channels. And this is also why we believe that resale already now actually should be built into the brand universe, so you can buy secondhand and new in the same basket. But you can also take a decision to make it simpler and then build a complete new universe, which is only for second-hand items. But then you have two disconnected universes for a customer perspective. You need to buy new in one channel and second-hand in another channel. But that's a big decision to take for the brands. And then you need to decide which reward of monetary value should the seller have, no matter if it's peer-to-peer or take back. They can decide to give cash. This is not common, but it might be common in the coming years. They can decide to give points into a customer club, which is retaining customers, and very popular right now. They can give a voucher, or they can give a gift card. Vouchers and gift card from a legal perspective is more or less the same, but there is still accounting difference on those two. And then there is handling of items. And we also heard from Resale up here, handling of items is a big task, because normally you have a lot of items you're selling, which is the same now. You have unicast. It's very separate and diverse items, which is unique, all of them. So how are you handling the items? Should you outsource it? Should you do it by yourself? And how is the operations? But to be profitable on this one, operations need to be efficient, especially if you're doing a take-back model. If you're doing peer-to-peer, there's no handling of items. So here's a high level how it works. We've discussed that a lot today, so it's fine. But this is just an example of how the take-back model and consumer buys second-hand items. When they're done using it, they can trade it in a store, or they can trade it into online. They will give a reward, and then they can get some points or something else which they can use to stay in the brand universe. Here is the two different business model on the peer-to-peer. The peer-to-peer business model is exactly the same as we know from trend sales and other marketplaces, where a consumer is listing an item, and another consumer is buying it and sending it direct. It has some benefits that you do not have any handling, and you do not have any inventory to handle it. However, there is also issues about how you can do this cross-border, especially in Europe, where you need to have a lot of different peer-to-peer models, because it's difficult to send a package for a consumer in Denmark to Austria, for example. And you also have an issue earning money on the peer-to-peer model as a brand or retailer, because the big marketplaces have so much value and earning their money, for example, on freight agreements and very little margin on each item. So if you're doing peer-to-peer, a consumer who's looking first, what's in it for me? Why should they sell it in a brand universe rather than selling it on a marketplace? So it's a difficult one, but very good if you don't want to have inventory and handling. And then you have the take-back model. The take-back model is where you're taking more responsibility, meaning that you as a brand is buying back an item when the customer is done using it, taking it back, handling it, and selling it again in different channels. Here's a little bit about the peer-to-peer journey. What is also very important for the peer-to-peer journey here is that there is some operations handling on the peer-to-peer where you need to queue and accept listings from consumers, because you're not in control of what the consumer is writing about the items and what images they are sending up on your website. So you need to review and accept all listings going in. And from a brand perspective, you also need to be sure of that, because if you're hosting a peer-to-peer model in your brand universe, you need to be ensured that the seller is actually also selling it to the buyer and they are happy. So you have an issue on your brand DNA if that is not working perfectly, and that is out of your control. But it still have significant advantages too. And then you have the take-back model, where a consumer have bought something, get an offer to sell it back, can trade it in, it receives on a warehouse and some operations, and taking new images, etc., and getting listed into the brand universe. When it lists, it's actually like buying a new item with typically with return rights and guarantee as it was a new item. Let me go in and show you a demonstration then about how the system works for some of the customers. I need to see if I can move this Zoom here. Can you help me, Heidi? How can I move away this?
We definitely we see this nymph website.
Yeah, okay, I just need to move that one. So, okay, now you can see this one. Okay, let me go in and show you an example of some of the customers going in. So this is a very responsive brand, Mush Mush, who is actually, I think it's a good example because they are responsible, but they are also understanding how to make this profitable and doing good for customer loyalty and attracting new customers, built fully into their brand universe. Which means that if you're going into one of Mush Mush's websites in Europe, Sweden, this one here is for Sweden, or take the European or the Danish one, you can buy their secondhand items. And their secondhand items is on their website. So I can click on this item here, just like it was another new item. And then you can see what is the condition of the item. So this one here is a condition as new. And they are telling here in Swedish what the condition is, and they have the original image. So this is the original pack shot. So we have all data and master data from brands because we're deeply integrated into the brand universe. So their product detail page starting with an image of the original images, and then images we have taken because we are running their operations for Mush Mush. And then I can add that item here to the basket. But I can also, and that's the interesting part, because I can also see I want to buy another item from Mush Mush, which is a new item, which has nothing to do with secondhand. And then I can add that one to the basket. You will not be able to see here at Mush Mush that we are actually running the operation sent from 2 different locations for the customer experience exactly as it was all fully integrated. And we are just running behind the scenes as a white label solution, managing all the logistics, etc. So Mush Mush, no matter where you are in Europe, can you buy Mush Mush secondhand items on their website side by side, because it's fully integrated into their existing brand universe. You can also make a separate universe. So here we have another brand called Pump Deluxe, children's wear brand. This is if you're going into this is a second a dedicated site just to secondhand. They have but have nothing to do at all with the existing and not connected to their existing brand universe. So that's an example of an items a brand partner who is running this in a separate brand universe, which is also possible. Okay, going into some of the other ones, I just want to see here is we see Nymph. They have, and then what I want to show is also with the partnership with the brands. So here you have Nymph as a second-hand item, but you will see exactly the same items at Den Blå Avis, where we are helping integrating that to different sales channels, testing out how can they do partnerships with different brand partners, but that's also fully automated and integrated into for Nymph. And you will also see some tests here we're doing with trend sales running in at some items. So that's how they are selling it. If I'm buying this, going back to Mosmos, and I want to buy this one here, and they want to buy it, sell it with DXL to Germany and whatever, it will be fulfilled with DXL. So it's completely and exactly the same customer experience for the customer buying secondhand as new. Return rights, guarantee, everything is exactly the same. Okay, if I want to sell back, and this is so very important for the customer for loyalty, is that if you want to sell back an item in the take back model for the brands which is Mosmos is using, then you need to ensure that, because the demand for secondhand is much higher than the supply. So it's all about marketing too. So it's really important that this can be integrated into a lot of different systems, especially email marketing and other marketing systems. So we are fully integrated into a lot of email marketing systems, which means a brand can send out an email to a customer and say, "Dear customer, you bought this pair of jeans in 2021. And we now have a new color of that jeans. If you want to upgrade it, we are happy to buy back your existing jeans for 50 euros. And then you're just paying 75 euros for the new jeans. That's converting a lot and ensuring supply and ensure a good conversion rate for customers. When they're clicking into those emails, then they will get in and can sell back items. This is the trade back function where a customer can sell back items. This is the Swedish one I showed here. So this here, and you can see this is fully integrated into Mosmos' universe too. And then I can see exactly my purchase history for the brand. And I can see what I have bought and what I want to sell back. I'm a consumer, and I want to sell those. Need to move this one again. Yep. And I can get 670 Swedish krona for those two items I want to sell back to Mosmos. And they have all the data for the customer. They're going in and a Swedish zip code. I can accept the terms as a consumer. And then the platform is automatically generating telling you where you can drop it off. This is in this city here in Sweden, and we are supporting all Europe. So it's fully integrated where I can drop it off. And I will get my packaging label. In this case here, it will go to Mosnor, and that will go to Mosmos at our location in Denmark. And the customer will now receive a gift card on 690 Swedish kroner, which they can start using immediately in Mosmos' store. So the customer has sold an item, very simple, with few clicks. They will get a gift card. They will use the gift card and stay in the brand universe. The second-hand items will now go into operations. New images, it will be cleaned. We are repairing two items. We are not doing like Sassy saying if there is a hole, we just sell it on kilo. We are taking we're taking more responsibility and actually investing into to repairing. So 2% of all items is actually repaired and is sold to 100% customer satisfaction. So we believe repair is a very important part. It is a little bit more expensive, but we think repair will be important because there's so many things which can be repaired and actually resold to a good value. It will be listed, as you saw in the product listing, and it will be sold to new consumers. And that's the loop moving around for the circular business model.
Thomas,
So-
we're approaching 12 o'clock, so you will get to a final conclusion.
Yeah, and I'm done. So that's perfect. At 12 o'clock.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Thomas. I absolutely love, I'm educated in the sales and marketing, and I love that you're really initiating this new title in brands. And I don't see any listings yet, but I see it blossoming in the US for re-commerce managers. So I applaud all brands to start considering this new education, this new title, this new type of employee that will manage not only what you do with your own resale, but also all the partnerships that you need to pave the way forward for this industry. So thank you so much, Thomas, for a deep dive into your business model and how others can partner up with you.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so we are at the end of the day. I thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to all of our partners, and thank you Teresa and Reka, thank you Christiane and Cecilep and Creative Day for sharing your insights today. I think everybody has gotten a lot to think about. And as this is a educational track, there is a little homework exercise for you until we meet again on the 16th of May. And I will shoot you 4 small questions that you should talk to your coworker about, or at least think about for yourself. And I will put somebody on this stand next time we meet to hear them. It's not going to be a very formal exam, but we will question a little bit on your reflections from following this 4 educational tracks. But we will see each other again. And next time it will be the Royal Academy of Arts. Mette, she is bringing a myth buster for everyone to hear. And I hope you have an excellent day today, and reach out if you have any questions, or this is something that you want to proceed with, but you need help. We're right here, and we will forward all the material from today. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful day.